Picture it. It's mid-April. You're enjoying a delicious lemonade iced tea on your porch while marveling at the newly blossomed plant life. Your recently founded small business has a stable foundation with a promising future. As the wind begins to pick up, you glance at the glass containing your delicious beverage and notice sweat droplets forming on the outside. Ah, it's finally starting to feel like summer, you think to yourself. Suddenly, however, you feel a deluge of overwhelming dread overcome you as you realize taxes are due soon. Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Underdown. As an aspiring CPA with an emphasis in taxation, I believe the use of budgets in forming tax plans is interesting and applicable to all of us regardless of our emphasis area. After all, each of us will pay tax at some point in our lives. I'm sure you've been there before. That claustrophobic feeling of worry as you make plans to pay taxes that you had totally forgotten about isn't limited to just you. Many Americans push back filing taxes to the last possible day. But what if you are able to avoid that worry of having the ability to pay them in the first place? Today, I would like to share my findings on why budgets and tax planning can save you a lot of time and worry. Now, let's get started. As is elegantly worded in Horngren's cost accounting textbook, a budget is the quantitative expression of a proposed plan of action for a specified period and an aid to coordinate what needs to be done to implement that plan. Tax planning, as stated by Gene Murray from The Balance, has two purposes: to keep you from having unexpected payments at tax time and to keep your taxes to a minimum through tax avoidance strategies. It is important to note that tax avoidance is legal while tax evasion is not, but that's a topic for later. Naturally, budgeting and tax planning are two forecasting techniques that share many similar characteristics. The first of three is that budgeting and tax planning are future-oriented plans prepared prior to the period in question. Second, both are prepared based on information gathered from past history of the user or from similar firms within the user's industry if this is the user's first year of operations. Finally, both are designed to mitigate costs paid by the user. Paraphrasing Chuck Hutchins, Vice President and Chief Tax Officer of Leggett & Platt Incorporated, it is a double-edged blade. Tax accountants exchange information with management to get a baseline of our earnings before interest and tax, who are able to derive that information from what we provide. Now that we know they share characteristics, how are budgets designed to boost confidence? Budgets are designed to lay out a plan of action for the future, so most revenues and expenses are expected. As we know, individuals pay taxes on income, property, purchases, and many more categories. Businesses, on top of paying for the aforementioned categories, pay taxes on each employee as well as various other categories. As the list keeps building, it becomes apparent that taxes can become quite overwhelming, so having a budget to prepare for expected payments will gauge your confidence in your ability to pay. Let's use an example to make things a bit simpler. Remember that lemonade iced tea from earlier? Imagine you went inside to refill it, but you realize you're out of tea and lemons to make another glass. On top of that, the ice maker is broken and you're out of clean glasses. Well, what do? You plan out your next grocery shopping trip, you schedule an appointment to get your ice maker fixed, and you do the dishes. While this may be a pretty rudimentary example, it shows that budgets exist in our day-to-day lives. There are various forms of budgets we use to gauge our confidence levels. Businesses use all kinds of budgets, such as revenues budgets, labor budgets, and cost of goods sold budgets to gain more insight as to expected future performance. Each of these budgets is designed to estimate future cash flows throughout their dedicated segments and are prepared accordingly. Finally, let's talk about the application of budgets in the area of tax planning. The amount of tax owed is derived from the base being taxed. For example, income tax is based on, you guessed it, your income. Now, how do you imagine taxes will be planned? There are many considerations when planning taxes. Such considerations include the date income is received, the amount of income, the date of a purchase, and the amount of the purchase. For the sake of brevity, I will focus on operating income for small businesses. Just like an individual's income, operating income can be relatively easy to estimate for a period. You take your revenues, less your expenses, to derive operating income. Naturally, you will be able to utilize your revenues budgets and various other expenditure budgets like cost of goods sold mentioned earlier to assist in this calculation. Using the income tax tables, which can easily be found online, such as this one found on newsnetic.com, we can calculate our estimated tax due for the period. Let's use one more example. Perhaps you calculate your estimated operating income to be $75,000. Since this falls between $40,126 and $85,525, we know that our taxable income will be $4,617.50 plus 22% of the amount of $75,000 that exceeds $40,125. After running the numbers, we find that in this example, our total tax due is $12,290. Makes sense, right? In conclusion, budgets are valuable tools that we can use to estimate the unknown. It's like our own method of fortune telling. But don't tell the accountants I said that. All budgets are used to derive an amount beneficial for the user if done correctly. If tax day for you is a stressful time of the year, don't let it be. You know that budgets share a lot in common with tax planning, like their ability to forecast based on past information. You also know that budgets are designed to lay out a plan of estimated future cash flows. So from using that, we are now able to estimate our taxes due so that next April you can continue sipping on your limited iced tea while enjoying that beautiful spring breeze.